Welcome back to Educator.com. This lesson we're going to take a quick look at some things you can do with forms. So I was tempted in preparing this lesson to just have one slide that says "don't" in general advice for dealing with how to apply styles to forms. That's because it's usually much more trouble than it's worth. That's just the way that forms are. Form controls, the control is the actual input, various types of inputs. They look different in not only every operating system, but every browser. And every browser in every operating system treats them differently. So if you were to make a chart of all the different types of looks and feels, it would be too big to fit in a book, which I've actually seen a book that has the chart. They had to put it online because it wouldn't fit in the appendix. Furthermore, that's not bad enough. It's not reliably supported in the different browsers for styling the different form inputs. So when you set the background color of a radio button, is it going to set the background color of the content area, remembering the box model that the button occupies, or is it going to set the background area of the actual button input control? It's completely up to the browser and the operating system at that point, and you have very little control over it, and there's not much you can do to make it look the way you want. And most of the different advanced things that you can do with forms end up working out that way, and it's just way more trouble than it's worth. So my advice is to avoid styling browser form controls if possible. If you really want it to look a certain way, it might be a much better alternative to just create your own forms. Well, at least create your own button with an image, and then use JavaScript or a link functionality to make it replicate a button. And you can also use JavaScript to create your own inputs using elements that accept input and things like that. So in a lot of cases, if you really need it to look exactly the right way, that might be a better option than actually applying styles to these forms. And then also there's just the point that the person who's using their computer and using their browser is familiar with the various controls that their browser and their computer has already. And that's one of the reasons for using form controls is it's clear right away that it's what it is, because it looks the same on every website. So it's actually a good idea to just kind of leave it the way it is. Every operating system has it that way so that it's consistent across the entire operating system, and that's a benefit, that's a feature. Another quick piece of advice, don't directly try to style the form element. The form element is required outside of containing all the form controls, and it sort of it just doesn't respond well to styling in browsers. It does give a little bit of padding above and below that you might not necessarily want, which you can easily fix by giving it a display value of inline. I wouldn't do much else beyond that. Just create a container div either outside or inside the form element and apply the styles to that div to get the same effect if you need to move your entire form around.